answering the call of God. And the Bible says, Samuel was not a stranger unto the house. If you have noticed, Samuel was living in the house of the Lord. If you have noticed, Samuel was eating in the house of the Lord. And as you noticed, Samuel was walking with the prophet. He was brought up by Eli. Eli the priest was the one who brought up Samuel. But the Bible says Samuel has not knew the Lord. But I want to speak something today that people need to understand. For the presence of man in the church does not mean the presence of God upon that man. I don't know if I'm talking to myself or talking to the church. I'm saying the presence of man in the church does not mean the presence of God upon that man. The Bible said someone grew up in the church, but he has not knew the Lord. He has not had an encounter with God. But he was a man that was serving in the church. This is a painful message I'm about to bring in the church tonight. Today we have a lot of people who have done that in the same place and speak in tongues and begin to burn fire out. But when we check in the realm of the spirit, most of the people, they don't know God. Someone did not know God. For you to be in that seat today, it does not define the presence of God upon your life. Some of you may be here, but you have not answered the call of God. And there was when God called upon someone went to Eli and said, "You are calling me." He went outside the house where he was sitting, where the presence was. He had the call, but he did not identify that this is the call of God. How many people tonight that they can hear God speak, but when they hear God speak, they go outside? So I hear you calling me. And God was calling you in the house, but you will be mistaken the voice of God for the voice of the devil. By that time, Eli was no longer a prophet, but Eli was the enemy, because Eli had sinned against God, and God wanted to put judgment upon that man. So now, when someone went to Eli, he did not go to him as a prophet. Eli saw him as a prophet, but God saw him as an enemy. Today we have the church that can hear the voice of God, but when they hear the voice of God, they are running towards the enemy. A person that God hates is what we are going towards. Say, Father, what are you saying? What do you want me to do? How many people today that have heard God speak upon their lives, that apostle have preached the message and said, today I'm rising the generation of God, and after hearing the message, you run out of the church and you begin to continue with your worldly life. You hear the voice, and the voice wanted you to wait here, but you mistaken the voice of God for the voice of the devil because you don't know the voice of God. This man has a call upon his life, but when the call comes, he does not know that God is calling him. He is in the church, he is sleeping in the church, he is worshiping in the church, he is an usher in the church, but he does not know the presence of God. What is the shame about the people of the living God? That today we need a man to come and tell us that this man is the first man of God. It's because we ourselves, we don't know God. Because if we knew God, we were able to identify that that man is not of God. That man does not carry the spirit of light. That man does not carry Jesus. But today, we need a man to tell us. If a man can come here and tell us that so and so is false, we can say, yes, it's happening. We are going to celebrate. It's because we ourselves, we don't know God. We are waiting for the voice of man. The Bible says, and this man was lost 4 times. He was going to Eli. God is calling him. He's going outside. He come out from the prison. He go outside. How many of us today that God has called us, but after the call of God, we are going back to our old lives. We are going back to our old tweets. We are going back to our own stupid language. Because we don't understand the voice of God. Many of times, the apostle will come and preach for you to come to the presence, for you to hear and accept the call of God. But after the call of God, what has happened to you is that you move away from the presence. That's why today we cannot be identified as the children of God if you are not in the presence of God. I don't know if someone is getting that. I'm saying today, yeah, you are a cool and calm person because you are in their presence. But outside there, you are a different monster. You are the devil. I'm saying outside the church, you are the devil yourself. Because you have not yet received the call of God. You are in the church, but being in the church does not mean you have accepted the call of God. We can worship and we do whatever we want to do just to please the man of God, for the man of God to love us. But the Bible says God cannot be fooled. God is not a fool. Whatever that man saw is what the men were with. So God knows you. And I'm here to tell people that God has called you for the longest time. And tonight is your time for you to answer that call. We have apostles that are sitting here. We have pastors and preachers that are sitting here. We have worshipers that are sitting here. But we have not yet accepted the call of God. For us to come to the church is just a routine. It's something that is in our blood, but we have not heard from God. We have preachers who have not yet heard from God. Every message they prepare is just to please the crowd. They have not sit down and listen. Father, what is it that you want me to teach your church? If that day has not come to you as a preacher to sit down and say, Father, give me that message so that I can